Hello, everyone. My name is Danny. This review is for the movie called Downhill. This is a 2020 film. It is rated R. It runs an hour and 25 minutes, pretty short. And it's directed by Nat Faxon and Jim Rash. It stars Will Ferrell, Julia Louise Dreyfus, and Zach Woods. And the description: barely escaping an avalanche during a family ski vacation in the Alps, a married couple is thrown into disarray as they are forced to reevaluate their lives and how they feel about each other. Short description, short movie. Let's have a short review, huh? This is Downhill. The movie Downhill came out this weekend when there's four movies out, in it included, and I went to see it second because it seemed like it was going to be something interesting. Don't really know much about it, just kind of went to go see it. I know who's in it because I've seen advertisements on commercial, but I knew it would be about skiing. I knew it would be about a relationship between him and Julia, but other than that, I didn't know what else it was about. And it turns out that that's all it's about is skiing and this relationship and this thing that happens. And the question I'm left with after leaving the theater, and it's rated R, and having all these people go to this movie, uh, it was just like, why do people make this kind of movie? It's a good question, and I think that I've seen a lot of movies like this. Where literally people will be in a living room talking for an hour or an hour and a half. Like that's the plot line is people sitting in the living room just talking. I've literally watched that movie before. And there's lots of other movies, people just in a house or um, just different little things. Like I've watched different movies where people are literally sitting across from each other for like 10 to 15 minutes at a time. I don't think it's the most boring thing I've ever seen. And this movie has one story for one period of time, for one family, where one thing happened, and everybody kind of reacts, and then they kind of move on. And it. Do you want to make a movie about 2 years ago on this date what happened in my life for 3 days? I mean, it's just weird idea to make a movie about just somebody's life, about one thing that happened in the 3 day portion of their life at that time. So the concept is weird. Obviously, you got two big stars to be in your movie, so it did get made. It is somewhat funny. It is somewhat interesting, but it's just weird to call it a movie. Like we got to have a description for these kind of movies where it's about literally one thing, and that's it. And that going in, so that I mean, I just can't believe that it's in big theaters and massive crowds are going to see this. So, um, let's talk about the usual stuff, I guess. Um, Will and Julia, they balance off of each other just fine. They're supposed to be this couple that is already going through some stuff, and we hear about that stuff a little bit, but we don't get to know what their lives have completely entailed. That's not the point of the movie. And so we get to the assumption that they're a couple who's very comfortable with each other. They know each other very well, their habits, their tendencies, all this stuff. And with that comes, you know, knowing each other well as actors. And if you're able to play that comfortable of a couple in a movie, I would say the acting comes pretty easy. You just got to kind of do your stuff right to make it look like your character and this other character know each other well. And if that includes passing the toothpaste before they ask for the toothpaste, that's easy. So the kids in this, I kind of felt sorry for them. like they're just kind of there, and they're reacting certain ways, and they get brought into a situation unneedingly, and they just kind of react to things, and they're like sad, and then they're afraid, and that's all they really get to do. So they're not really that much necessary in this film, to be completely honest. I think they could have handled this movie with just Will and Julia. But adding the kids makes you, as a movie watcher, feel more emotions and feelings because they're children that are involved in this situation. But just watching this movie, if the avalanche would have happened with just Julia and Will still would have done what he did, I think the movie still could have got passed off pretty well, and we all would still go to see it because it has those two people in it. So, anyways, I will say for this movie that since it takes place in a mountain area, there's lots of skiing, there's lots of snow. The scenery is very nice. It's very pretty. It's very bright. Those kind of shots that they have are very nice. People skiing downhill. Those are good action shots. There's good conversation between Will and his kids when he kind of has to talk to them about being family and stuff. The end result of this movie is to be focusing on family. So it has a nice message. It just gets really murky in the middle. It really kind of tense and uncomfortable. I was actually sitting next to some preteens. I don't know why they were in the movie, but rated R and everything. But honestly, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that is not necessary for kids. It's not necessary for anybody. Just felt like they had to keep kind of throwing things at us to make this movie legitimate and make it long enough to be a legitimate movie. I feel like it could have been a good hour short film, and it could have not made it into theaters, but it made it into theaters. I watched it. I enjoyed what it was, I guess. But I'm not gonna make a big deal about it or go crazy about it. But I think it's a very middle down the road movie. Nothing's bad about it. It's just a story, and you get to sit down for an hour and 25 minutes and with 25 minutes of previews and watch this story. So whether you like it or not, whether you buy into it or not, I don't think anything's really bad about it, but nothing's great about it either. So I'm going to give a C to Downhill, and can't suggest watching it ever again. Can't suggest you watching it, but if you want a story time, go for it. A C for Downhill. Thanks a lot, guys. My name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other videos, try and give some of them a watch. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. Enjoy your movies. Thanks.